Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's your reluctant gringo back again with another movie review. And yes, I had a chance to see Brad Pitt's new movie, F1. What a fun friggin' movie. I mean, fun. Perfect? No. But fun. Yes, a little long, but it didn't feel like it because it was really fun. Again, Brad Pitt's one of my favorite actors of all time. I grew up with Brad Pitt, and most of his stuff that he does, I really, really enjoy. And again, he has another movie role where he understands his role, he understands his character, he understands who it is, and he does it perfectly. So this is going to be spoiler free. I'm not going to get too much into the details of the actual plot, but I will say this. For a movie from Apple Studios, and I'm used to these period pieces from Apple Studios, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, things like that, Greyhound, this is the best thing Apple Studios has ever put out, especially if you are just looking at the films that they put out in theaters. This is definitely their best film, and I think a lot of that has to do with the idea that they went back to an old formula. The old formula of Brad Pitt plays a character who is sort of a wash-up or never has been or never will be. But he's pulled out of that world and he's given a second chance for glory, that final chance for glory, while also trying to mentor a young brash rookie who doesn't want to take any advice from the old man. It's a formula we've seen time and time again. But Apple Studios kind of figured it out. The old formulas work. Why do they work? Because they've always worked. They've always made money. And I think this movie's going to make money. Now, it made $10 million in previews, which is awesome, right? The only thing I think it's up against is Megan 2.0, which only made about $1.5 million in previews. It's looking to open to a weekend between $50 and $60 million. Some other estimates put it a little soft between 35 and 40, but I hope this movie does well. It's a $200 million budget, and you can see the budget on screen. You can absolutely see the budget on screen. The racing scenes, which take up a chunk of the movie, that's why the movie's so long, they are incredible. Go see this movie in theaters. Don't wait for this for your home theater or for your home big screen. Because just seeing this movie, I'm glad I saw this movie in a theater. You are surrounded. When it comes to the races, you are surrounded. The rest of the film, it's kind of quiet. It takes place. It's the training. It's the drama. It's the story, which is great. You get to see a lot of inside stuff. But when they get to that Formula One scenes where they're in the countdown to the race and they're getting in the cars and then the cars start going the race. Now, I'm not a Formula One expert, so I'm not going to pretend to be one. But when you feel like you're in the car with Brad Pitt. You feel like you're in the car with some of the races. You feel like, oh, now I have a real appreciation for a sport that I didn't know much about, nor do I ever watch. I'm not an F1 fan, not an F1 expert, but I walked out of there thinking, Jesus, these people put themselves in these cars and it's dangerous. And then I get an appreciation for everything that they do to prepare to be in those cars. And then the whole team behind the cars, which I had no idea it was so technical. I had no idea it was so involved. I had no idea it was so pre-planned, for me thinking like, yeah, get in the car and drive fast, right? But no, you get a real appreciation for what they go through. And then again, when you're in those scenes with the racing, you feel at times like you're flying, man. So it was racing scenes like I've never seen before. So kudos to Apple Studios for putting the money on screen. The special effects CGI, seamless. I couldn't tell what was CGI, what was not. I couldn't tell what was stunt, what was not. I couldn't tell the difference. Seamless. Absolutely seamless. Well, no, let me stop that. There's one scene where a plane is flying overhead, and I'm like, that to me for a second look, I'm like, oh, it looks like CGI, but it really doesn't matter. It's just a fluff. It's just be real. It's whatever, right? Doesn't matter. You could take that part out and who cares, right? But the pomp and circumstances, you get an idea of how popular F1 is. You get an idea of how popular or how some fans and how rabid those fans are with F1. Again, I didn't know it was, I knew it was a big deal with a lot of people. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but I'm like walking away going, oh, wow, this is bigger than I expected. But again, the story is what grounds the whole movie. You're interested in that story, that narrative. Again, the old formulas sometimes work. Every character does their part. The one critique I will say is that some of those characters are so interesting that you wanted more. So like there's like a love story between Brad Pitt's character, Sonny, and the female engineer, lead technical engineer. And she seems like a cool character, but the romance never takes center stage, right? Which I don't think it's supposed to, right? It's the movie's about F1, but the idea of the romance and how it developed and whatnot, there really wasn't that much development to it. It's sort of just like they're at odds, they're butting heads, and all of a sudden now they're in bed together. I'm like, okay, well, that's that. And so, but then the rookie driver, JP or Pierce or whatever you want to call him, Great performance by the kid there. And you wanted to know a little bit more about him. You get a little bit of backstory, sort of like, about his father, his mother, and all that stuff. But you never get a lot. But that's because the movie does stay focused on Sonny and the overall goal of why Sonny is there in that particular situation, which is, again, a great thing. The old formulas work. And you're on that ride with Sonny, and you really understand who that character is. Brad Pitt does a great job. When he needs to be funny, he's funny. When he needs to be serious, he's serious. When he needs to be sarcastic, he's sarcastic. When he needs to be, whatever the scene requires of him, he does. He does in service to the scene. And that's why I kind of always like Brad Pitt, is that he understands that, yeah, he's a movie star, but he's there in service to the scene. Yeah, people are there to see him because he's the guy on screen and he's the guy he's the name driving the film. But in this film, and just like in a lot of films that I've seen him in, again, one of my favorite actors of all time, Brad Pitt, he understands how to service the scene and how to allow the other actors that are with him to play off him properly, right? He never sort of overshadows everyone else, but he's still the anchor and still the driving force of the entire narrative. But overall, I mean, I would encourage you to see this film in theaters, just because you get immersed in that world of F1. You get immersed in the danger. You get immersed in the anxiety. And at the end of races, sometimes you're like in the middle of the movie and the race ends and you feel exhausted, just as the characters, or in real life, those drivers must feel exhausted mentally and physically. And you're like, you have that appreciation walking out of the film. So it does a great job doing that, relaying that and connecting to the audience in that way. And I think that's what makes it such a really good, entertaining film. Perfect film? No. Really good film, really entertaining film? Yes. Worth the price of admission? Yes. Again, I would encourage you, with the sound, the sight, go see it on the big screen. Don't wait for it to come on Apple TV later on. I mean, I can't wait for it to come Apple TV on later on so I can watch it a second time, and I think that's the mark of a movie for me. Like, I can't wait to watch this a second time and experience that again and be like, yeah, I remember seeing that in theaters. That was fun. And just because it was fun, it's fun. Holy crap, we have a movie that's just there saying, we're going to give you adrenaline, we're going to give you anxiety, we're going to give you a little bit of we're going to give you a lot of masculinity. Refreshing. And again, coming from Apple Studios, again, this is the best film Apple Studios has put out by far, at least in my opinion. Now, some of you might point to Killers of the Flower Moon. Some of you might point to Napoleon. I'd say you're wrong. This is the best film Apple Studios has put out to date. And we should celebrate that, because whenever a new studio is trying to find its footing and try to find its way, and they decide to land on this, you know what this movie reminds me of? Top Gun Maverick. If you went there, adrenaline, button heads, guys, whatever. It's just, it was just fun. It's just fun, and it just understands how to just deliver an experience that is enjoyable. And that's all we're asking. As audience members for movies, that's all we're asking. That's all we're looking for, is some escapism, some good time, some feelings. And F1 delivers in a lot of those ways. So again, perfect movie? No. Really good and really entertaining movie? Yes. Will you enjoy it? Whether you're an F1 fan or not, yes, I think you will enjoy it very much. And that's what I think. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm still your reluctant gringo from somewhere south of the border. I'll see you a little bit later on. Salut and a huevo.